Salutations.
I'm Modular.
And I'm Duke.
Today we are talking about a mask.
When do we not?
When we're talking about other things on the on that other channel.
Oh yeah. So what are we reviewing today, Moulash? I didn't even hit that.
Actually, I'm gonna pan down. This video is already a clusterfuck. I love it. Pan down a little bit, just to get the table in frame. You guys know what's going on in the background. We're not acknowledging that.
You literally just did.
Yes.
So, we have a Pulmosan mask. Why don't you tell us more about it, since that's your shtick?
Yeah, so this is a Pulmosan SM-3. Pulmosan had a lot of designations. A lot of them don't really make sense. The S probably stands for shield. SM1, SM2, damned if we know.
I'd believe that, personally.
There's at least two of these that I know of. I've owned both of them. One of them I actually sold off to...
Philip Vandenberg?
No, it was actually...
Alexandre Hubert, yeah. He actually started doing a YouTube channel recently, so...
Cool. So, yeah, I'm sure he has some thoughts on it.
If he makes a video on it. I don't think he's doing review type of videos, so...
That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
It's a horrible, horrible aspect of this hobby. I've seen many successful lives and relationships ruined over YouTube, so... Yeah.
And how?
Anyway, so what we have here effectively is your fairly bog standard Pulmosan half mask. And, I mean, we probably own 2 or 3 dozen of these masks using this exact same patent where the metal cup and the rubber seal, and then
This cotton sort of
sock.
tube sock material for the face. I assume that's just for sweat absorption. This does absolutely nothing to maintain a seal, and probably affected the seal more than anything.
Yeah, you really only see that on dust masks, which obviously this one is.
Yeah, on a dust mask it's negligible. It's not like dependent on an airtight seal for, gas protection.
So some of these have it, some of these don't, because you have these. The Fear Knot is the same pattern as this, for example, and we own 3 Fear Knots. They're all fairly different. There's supplied air versions of this. There's versions of this that use a full chest canister. There's versions of this that use cartridges. There's versions of this that literally just use a single piece of gauze, which is, would you like to open that, basically show them what's in there?
Yeah, so as it came in the packaging, we have several spare filter elements inside here. I'm going to try and dig all these out. They're really fucking tucked in there. So here are the... Oh, it's fucking making dust everywhere. There's still one more.
Yeah, that's their job.
It's a literal dust mask. It doesn't filter dust, it makes you inhale it. So yeah, these are the filtering elements. These are just basically, I assume cotton felts or wool felts, some type of felt, and they would have gone into this threaded receptacle on the front. That is the filter. These do not have, as he mentioned, there's a variant that I'm sure that has replaceable chemical cartridges, but as for this one, it's a dust mask, so you literally just tuck all these little sons of bitches in there, and you got a pretty effective.
I thought you put in like maybe 1 or 2 at a time.
Oh, I assume you're supposed to like stack them. So you came with like 6, didn't it?
Folks, this actually opens a very good question of how many can you fit in there before the breathing resistance becomes an issue.
So like, there's 3 in here right now, and there's 3 more. So that's going to be my. It did come with an instruction booklet. Let me look at that.
It's very general. So.
No, it might mention the amount of. You finger fuck this for a minute.
Yeah, okay, sure. So I'll go over some other minor details here. Obviously, the big thing is the face shield. The way the strap sits, it actually holds the face shield up against the sides of your face. It's got a little bit of kind of a felt facial seal around the edge.
Yeah, it's a tube sock.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean on the lens itself.
Oh, right.
The lens itself has this nice sealing on it.
I think that's like a sort of a suede material, actually.
Yeah, felt or suede. And that really is just held on by the 2 strap snaps at the bottom.
For all its flaws, at the time, it was a very good design.
Yeah.
These
would have been contemporary to the... And again, here's this. You can see the 2 holes here. Literally just sits... These were contemporary to the fume guard, there's not really a better name for it, the fume guard, because there's a photo of those and these at a safety exhibition in like the 20s, I want to say, something similar. So breaking it down further.
You could probably just use it as a standalone respirator without the shield.
No, I mean, that's literally what this is. This is a very generic. I wouldn't even.
They made those into like the 90s.
What?
Didn't they?
Yes. I think so.
Like I forgot when they got like sued out of existence. It was like at the very end of the 80s.
Yeah, it was that whole asbestos satanic panic thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, really big.
Inhalation valve on the other side of that receptacle.
Yep, and then on the bottom we have this nice
Spearhead valve. I think that's
Ciarco.
let me see. Ciarco. Continental rubber. I think. I'm probably wrong about that.
And that might be military surplus. They tend to use a lot of surplus parts.
It probably is, but not the face shield back. I cannot imagine how fragile these things must be after like 70 some years.
And here we are dicking with it. So, it's your favorite part.
Is it?
You love the Three Stooges.
I love the Three Stooges, not when some schmuck is voicing over it.
What do you mean? That's what they sound like.
But you're wrong, though. It's not the Three Stooges. That's the origin story of Saddam Hussein.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Remember?
I forgot to suspend my disbelief about suspending my disbelief.
You should extend your disbelief instead of suspend it.
Biden inflation, I can't afford that. It's got a buckle on the back-ish.
It's got a pretty typical affair for respirator head harnesses, the same shitty little hook and D-rings, which these tend to get flattened. I don't know if you can see that properly, but those have a nasty habit of getting absolutely fucking crushed, and then you can't slip them in anymore. You gotta bend them back, and then they never really look the same. And this is... Okay, so there is some elastic to this. So the actual tabs with the buckles on them, those are just cotton webbing, but the actual strap itself is elasticated, which is a nice touch. A lot of respirators will like literally put the elasticated portion all the way into the mouth cup here, and that's where most of the tension's going to be applied. So it's good that they didn't do that, and they just elasticated the part that goes around the head. Nice little touch.
I guess the other thing to mention is, of course, the box, this is one of my favorite. I've got a couple of these as well. This is one of my favorite boxes. You get some really nice advertisements on the side for all the different stuff that Pulmosan sells. And then they never write the type on the goddamn box for some reason. For what it does. I guess that would be if they were sold in a store or something. I'm not really sure. It's a really cool little box. I like these. I've got...
Oh, wait a minute. There's already a filter in this.
Oh.
So, okay, this changes things. So, you have these two mesh grates here, and then you have just one of those little discs in between it.
Maybe this is why they were sued, because people are too stupid to assemble their equipment properly.
So, okay, that does make a little bit more sense than trying to breathe through like a shit ton of these little felt discs. I imagine that get pretty stuffy pretty quick. But it's kind of weird, though. That leaves a lot of dead... You'd think they'd be able to stuff something extra. I mean, you could probably if you wanted to, but...
I mean, yeah.
That would... I'd imagine that would increase the breathing resistance exponentially, but, like, that's... I'm just gonna roll with it. That's now the filter.
Well, I mean, you have to consider this is also like a modular part of a modular part. Like, that same thread could have been used to hold on, like, a chemical cartridge filter.
Oh, yeah.
So,
like... Yeah, it's just kind of bizarre to me. It's like you could, in theory, put more filters behind that thing, but you really aren't supposed to, I guess. I don't know. They kind of leave it open-ended to use their interpretation.
It's the 1940s. You do whatever the hell makes you feel like wearing pants in the morning.
Just whatever suits your fancy. But, yeah, that's kind of neat. I never noticed that before. It's just, I mean, it makes sense. You'd want to have this sort of mesh batting on either side of it to make sure that the felt doesn't get all shredded up, but... So yeah, pretty slick design. I'm honestly surprised that a lot of respirators don't copy this kind of attach-on applique facial shield. I get that there's some sort of legal loophole in that where you can't really...
You can't wear safety glasses under that, and that's not safety rated.
No, absolutely not.
So,
I mean, in theory, you could have, with modern polycarbonates and, impact-resistant materials, you could have a safety company manufacture some sort of applique facial shield. But at that point, you might as well wear a full face respirator. So it's kind of pointless either way you slice it.
I just think, especially the flexibility and the lightweightness, there's not really a good way to attach what's effectively a face shield to a half mask and still have it be safety rated. Because, Well,
what I was thinking is like, they could probably just make a hard shield that's sort of universal. So that's one option. I get that the fit wouldn't be great. It would sort of just kind of hover in front of your face, and that'd probably lead to some... honestly, what probably killed this thing faster is the fact that it probably had absolute dog shit fitment with hard helmets.
Well, that, and then the other problem is when you have like a face shield that comes down from the top's relatively sealed. Obviously not perfectly. You still have gaps in the back. Mm-hmm. But here, there's not really any seal up top. It just kind of presses into place. So anything that kind of sprays or washes down could still get through this gap a lot easier than a traditional modern face shield.
That's why I assume they were only intending this for nuisance dust. But like at that point, yeah, the deeper you think about this design, the less it makes sense, because it's like, if you're using it for nuisance dust, that's airborne, and that's going to get underneath the shield, and you'd rather just have a pair of goggles at that point.
What the fuck?
How did that happen? Did we one of us move our knees in front of it?
It's okay.
It's okay. Just roll
it is
it.
Okay.
So, what more can be said about this? I mean, when did these sort of enter service, and when did they kind of retire?
Well, it's an industrial mask, so...
I mean, basically, our way of assessing this is through looking at industrial catalogs, so it's like...
Yeah, which is very difficult. So this actual patent was filed in, like, the mid-1910s, I want to say. Maybe the early 1920s. It's been a while, folks.
And, I mean, these... The SM-3s, I mean, you knew about the designation from, like, the Bureau of Mines registries, right?
No, I knew about it from the last one that I had where it had that on the box.
Oh, okay, that definitely makes this interesting, because this one doesn't have that, and now we don't have anything to back up our claims.
Somewhere internally in Pulmosan, there is a list of all, like, 100-something fucking variants of these things, and I would pay good money for that, because, again, there's a lot, there's four or five different patterns of Fear Not alone, and they're all labeled Fear Not. It gets very complicated.
I'm trying to think of a good comparison here, but it's like, there's just a lot of things that are like that, and Pulmosan kind of fits on that spectrum. That's not really what I wanted to say, but you get the idea.
No, it's industrials are fun because you have no idea what's going on, and neither does anyone else.
You have like some companies like MSA that kind of have a system, and they kind of make a majority of that system public. Aside from like weird one-off things like the Burrell fumigation face piece, which we're not going to get into detail about,
or the Hanford masks.
Or yeah, those don't even count because those were entirely end-user modifications.
No, I mean the MSA.
Oh, right, the MS. Yeah, I keep forgetting about those.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have to touch on the current zeitgeist, which everyone's arguing over because they're stupid. Which is of course Rarity.
Oh yes, Rarity. Of course. How could we forget?
Which I have some thoughts on that. Which is The whole thing, even if you go back to like Bart Wilkes's website where it says,
like scarce versus rare versus common, uncommon.
Yes, exactly. What that was talking about was how difficult it is to find one of these if you're looking for it. It's not a value guide. It's not anything other than, hey, if you want to find one of these, you're gonna have a bitch of a time finding it. And here's how big my penis is. That's not how it fucking works.
And rarity is so completely subjective for a lot of things. Like, for instance, in the U.S. here, an Avon CT-12IM, basically Special Forces FM-12 with the integral mic, those do not show up in the U.S. Those are basically ethereal for how. That's probably not the right word to use, or not the right pronunciation. But trying to get one of these in the U.S., you need to know somebody. That's how fucking scarce these are. In the UK, however, or just probably even some other places, just sort of uncommon. Not hard to find these too significant. I mean, yeah, they're a little bit hard to find, but it's subjective because masks in the country of origin, if they produced enough of them and they didn't export any of them, they're going to be a lot more common there, generally speaking. I mean, your mileage may vary, but rarity is such an asinine thing to focus on with masks because something is always going to be rare to someone. I mean, just look at all the Southeast Asian countries where they're not even allowed to legally own gas masks as a civilian. Any mask would be rare to them. So why are we...
Yeah, that must suck. I'd hate to live there.
Why? It's just... We're kind of getting off topic with this.
Oh, it fixed itself. Look, there
Oh, good.
There's the boy.
The boy? Which of them? Tom Selleck?
Yes.
Oh, you fucked it up again. Good job.
Tom Selleck, Tom Selleck, Tom Selleck.
So, again, I don't know why the community at whole, and really this mostly applies to Reddit, I've noticed, but the community as a whole, I don't know why we're focusing on Rarity so much, because Rarity is just a fraction of what you really should be focusing on with this. There's so much historical and design ingenuity with some of these masks, and it's just a stupid thing to focus on when none of it really matters. I mean, you can find some of this stuff in like a warehouse someday, and the rarity will immediately go away, and it only applies to your particular corner. Like even I've seen cases where it's like a county by county type of situation where things are more common in certain states even than others. So it's like it's just a stupid system to really compare masks to because it doesn't mean anything. Rarity is. Again, I keep saying
the only way that rarity really matters, which, I mean, you're aware of it. You can't help but be aware of it. The only time it's really interesting is, especially, I'm kind of halfway working out some trades right now with some Europeans, particularly Jerome, where I would like some European industrials, and there's some U.S. industrials that he wants to get. And, I mean... There's no goddamn Pulmosans in Europe. And if they are, they're in the hands of collectors already. Meanwhile, it's actually kind of funny. If you go on eBay, Italian eBay, it is literally 90% T35s. Like, and and you go on there, it's like, well, no. Or, like, no shit that there's like 20 different variants of these things, and some people make a hobby just out of collecting T35s. In the U.S., that doesn't exist. You want a T35, it's probably at least $100.
And it's just, pick of the draw type of deal.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the most generic ones possible. So, rarity by market, like Duke was saying, fluctuates by country and county and everything. And the only time rarity actually becomes fun is when you're doing trades with people and you're working out a trade where something's very common for you is, for something's very common for them. And you trade that and you both get something that's rare for each of you out of it. If you're sitting on Reddit circle jerking about these things, or
you're not going to last long in this hobby, basically.
Well, you'll last longer than we would like you to, and frankly, you can just leave whenever you'd like, and we won't miss you.
Just if that's like the only thing you're focusing on, you're going to have a bad time in this community. Is all I'm saying. There's just really nothing to be gained from assessing rarity. It means nothing. It's just a completely topical factor to this that means nothing and adds nothing other than just your own perception of price, and it's stupid. Anyways, this thing, how scarce is it, Moulage?
It's a U.S. industrial. There's a theoretically infinite number of them in a warehouse somewhere in Baltimore.
But we only know of two. And this is the second one.
Does this change its value?
Not particularly.
No.
It's only worth what we are willing to pay for it, which in most cases is kind of a lot, so it really doesn't mean anything.
Even for what it is, I can't see myself paying more than $50 for one of these. So it's not like you're trying to complete a set. This is like trying to
see the sorry if I'm kind of diverging here, but kind of the Murphy's Law of this situation is that since we're putting out content related to it, and people are going to start finding these, and you're like, oh, it's actually rare, $300.
Well, that's actually not my problem, because...
No, it's not, because we have one. We didn't pay $300 for it.
Well, it's not even that. It's if the community fucking sucks, it fucking sucks. I cannot go to individual people's house and proselytize them into being better human beings. I can't do that. I can only say things and hope that maybe they pick up on that and stop being shitty fucking human beings.
Poor people that walked into this review expecting just a quirky little Pulmosan review and just get like politically
It's just
bombarded.
a quirked up little white boy, guys. Don't charge $300 for it. What the fuck?
And how? Is that my new catchphrase now? No, I see it's still slanted.
It fluctuates.
Like the market! That's
Look, you
oh my
fixed it!
god, we fixed the market! Look, see how that works?
Alright, you know what? This has been fun. Now we're making a review for your channel so I can ruin it for you, and then we can all move on with our lives.
Oh hell. Well, if you have any comments, questions, corrections, or concerns, be sure to drop them in the comments below. And I'm Duke.
I'm Moulage.
And we will see you all some point whenever.
Thanks for watching.